So we want to make sure that our morning in kids ministry is full of fun, it's joyful, kids are experiencing the grace and the welcome of God through us, but we also need to make sure that we are on a track together, that we are working towards the goal of completing the lesson so that kids are learning, they're growing, they're being discipled. Sometimes that's easier than others, and we want to make sure that kids are in an environment that they're set up to thrive. And that happens with some boundaries and with just some steps that you can take when things aren't quite going as planned. We want to make sure that we are holding kids to an expectation that everyone is safe and everyone is able to flourish in the environment that we are providing together as leaders, but also as a community of kids. So we want to positively prompt behavior. This is why we talk through expectations at the beginning of every morning together. But it's also how we address things that are going on as they happen. So, let's have walking feet. Oh, let's make sure we're having kind friends, kind hands with our friends. Let's make sure that we're sharing with everyone. The toys at church are for everybody. Positively prompt the behavior of how you want them to be behaving, to act around the other kids in their environment so that they are clear on what the expectation is. We don't want to hold kids to an expectation that they're either unaware of or they're unable to attain. Redirect. If a child is continuing to struggle, they're having a hard time sharing with a friend, they're having a hard time staying out of a friend's space, then that's a moment we need to redirect. We've positively prompt, then we redirect. That is where we help them make the right choice. Oh, it's looking like that we are having a hard time giving our friends space. We're going to then move to this dot over here so they can have their own space. Oh, we're having a really hard time sharing those toys. I love having Magna-Tiles, but if we can't share, then we need to go make a different choice of playing with the cars. You're helping the child engage in the situation positively. If that doesn't work, then that's a moment where we might need to pause and chat. So that is kind of shifting the attention away from that situation where it's a one-on-one with you and the child. Get down onto their level, speak in a way that is calm and firm, but also kind. And this is where you are going to give them a reminder of, oh, I am so sorry that we just really want to play with those toys. It's really hard to share, but the toys in the classroom are for everyone. Or, oh my goodness, it is so hard when we are out in a game, but if we can't follow the rules of the game, then that means we aren't able to play. So what should we do? Should we follow the rules and play, or do you want to sit with me over here and we can just watch our friends? So you're pausing to acknowledge that they might be having a hard time, but you're also clearly drawing a line of what behavior is appropriate and what is not. And then you're giving them a choice of how we want to address it. They can either join the group in the way that is being expected, playing the game, sharing the toys, whatever, or they can take a little break and make a different choice. A warning. If a child continues to struggle, then we can kind of, again, off to the side a little bit. None of this is happening publicly. We don't want children to feel uncomfortable or called out and say, hey, we aren't able to have a safe body and stay out of our friends' bubble in their space. We're going to need to call your grown-ups and they're going to need to come talk to you. Or, I am so sorry that it is hard to share. It's hard to share when we really like Magna-Tiles. But if you keep grabbing Magna-Tiles from your friends, then we're going to have to talk to mom and dad and have them come say hello to you. So this is after we've talked through all of these steps. That's never a first thing where we're making a warning to Paige the grown-up. An asterisk on that, if at any point a child is becoming unsafe, hitting, kicking, biting, throwing, pushing, at any point, if a child is doing something that is unsafe or physically threatening to you or to the other kids in the room, that's an instant talk to the grown-ups. So you are going to text your service captain, or you might need to have someone else in the room, like an aide or another teacher, send out a message, and that service captain will come in to help you, as well as Paige the grown-up. We want to make sure that the environment is safe. So if someone is doing something physically unsafe, that is an instant call the grown-up. That also applies to a child trying to leave the environment, If we're in the large group area in the elementary zone, if they're coming into a classroom and locking the door, that's a no-go. If they're making attempts to leave the double doors, that's a no-go. That is, we are not in a safe space at that point. So that is when we're going to page a grown-up. With all of these situations, no matter what step you're at, always feel free to ask for help. I, my team, the service captains, the other grown-ups in the environment, we are a team working together. If you are feeling out of depth or if you are unsure, if you're feeling increasing frustration with a situation that you're not able to handle calmly, that is when you need to reach out for help. My job is to make sure that you're set up for success and you're able to love and serve the kids of Southlands with calm and peace. If you're not able to do that, or if you're just feeling like, I'm not sure how I should deal with this, always, 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 always ask for help. Another important thing that we need to pay attention to is the physical boundaries that we have with kids. With our littler kids, our preschoolers, our toddlers, there's a lot of physical interaction with kids, but also with you as an adult. You are never, ever expected to hug a child, to physically interact with them. That is never something that you are expected to do. Actually, it's something that we need to be really mindful of. I would prefer for no lap sitting. I know with our preschoolers, they're jumping in our laps, they're crawling on us, they're hanging off of us. Our toddlers, that's a very different situation. We're holding them. If they're littler, we need to provide a lot more physical interaction with them. With our elementary schoolers, there should never be lap sitting. There should never be tickling. There should never be grabbing. That also includes them on you. If they are hanging off of you, if they are tickling you, if they're just in your space, you are the one who can enforce that boundary. But for us onto them, that's a never. It's a never, never, never for us to have a child sitting on our laps. It's never for us to be forcing them to do anything physically, never forcing a child to hug you. An easy option is high five, fist bump, elbow bump, foot five, whatever, a side hug, things like that. That is to protect you. It's to protect the child. We want to make sure that we are just above board everywhere we go. There are ways for us to physically interact with children positively that is comfortable for everyone. But like I said, if a child is hanging off of you, they're pulling your hat, you're just trying to sit and be a good example, you are absolutely able to say, I don't feel comfortable with you doing that. I need you to sit next to me. Or that hurts. Please don't hang on my arm. We also want to make sure in all of these moments with the positive redirections, with enforcing physical boundaries, that our face is matching our words. So if we're saying something serious, again, we can be kind. We can have a kind voice, kind tone. But if we're being like, I don't want you to hang on me, that's not cueing the kid of what we want them to do. You need to say, hey, I love hanging out with you, but you're hurting my body when you do that. Or, this is so fun. I love that we're having fun together, but you can't sit on my lap. I'm so sorry. Let's sit close right next to each other. So you're acknowledging the fun moment, happy, we're having fun together, but when you're positively and firmly cueing their behavior, that's the serious moment. So I'm so sorry that I'm not able to carry you around, but it's just to help keep us safe. I don't want to be running around with kids on my back. Whatever it is, you are the one cueing that dynamic. All right, so some teaching tips for us. We want to make sure that we are excited, both visibly and in our words, to be with the kids of Southlands. We want them to know that we're happy that they're here with us. So say that. I am so happy you guys are here with me today. Sundays are my favorite day of the week. I'm excited to play our games. I'm excited to learn. Let's get started. If you have kids who are distracted, who are talking, who are distracting others, always feel free to address it. But the way we want to do it is positively. Of, hey, eyes on me. Or, hey, let's have our bodies turn towards me. Oh, I need one bottom on a dot, not 3 bottoms on a dot. Come on, guys. A little bit silly, cheeky, fun, but we don't ever want to put a child in a situation where they're being publicly disciplined and feeling uncomfortable. Again, positive cues all day long, positive cues. If a student is needing consistent reminding to focus, or if they've got some sort of toy that they're playing with, have them pick another dot or say, hey, Mr. Jim, can you come sit next to my friend here? And that is just always an option that you have to sort of pull another grown up to address a situation. If you're teaching a lesson, have kids emphasize the key words to you. Turn to your neighbor and tell them what God's grace is. Or let's all repeat this key phrase together. 1, 2, 3. God is good. That's a great way for them to get something deeper into their brain, for them to interact a little bit. One thing I like to do is we're all going to say this with a whisper voice. So whisper, God is good. And then let's say it with a regular voice. God is good. And then I want everyone to say this like they're a bird. And then everyone whistles or does something silly. It's great. It's fun. We don't want to get to the point where we are yelling, where they are yelling, where they are screaming. So calmer, quieter is better. Our normal talking voice is great. Yelling, screaming is a no-go. A lot of kids do not thrive in a loud environment, particularly our kids with special needs. That's like an instant red alarm in their brains. So we want to make sure the space that we are operating in is one that's great for everybody. Whether you're teaching a large group lesson, you're in a classroom, always feel free to walk around the room and interact with them that way. That is also helping you kind of stand into certain situations that might be distracting or tricky. You can stand in between kids that might be bugging each other, and it just helps engage kids' brains as the sound is moving around the room, as you're kind of engaging spaces around the room. It's helping them stay focused. Before you play the video lesson, remind kids, guys, let's really pay attention. Let's focus. If kids aren't getting the video lesson, then the rest of the morning is kind of derailed. So we want to make sure that our focus of being good listeners to this lesson is really important. And always, always, always feel free to proactively separate situations or students that might not do well next to each other. When I'm teaching in the elementary classrooms, I will often either number off or by color at some of our tables. So then as kids are entering the room, they're being distributed separately. So then certain dynamics are being separated. So I'll say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or red, blue, yellow, red, blue, yellow. And if kids are sitting down and I'm not liking some of the pairings that are involved, I will actively switch those around before we get into the lesson or the application time to hopefully set everybody up for success. Attention grabbers are a really fun way for us to refocus kids, and we've been working on getting a few of them kind of going and understandable to everyone. An easy one that we do a lot, waterfall, waterfall, and the kids go, shh. Instant calm down, it's a reset, gets everyone focused and quiet. Another one like that, flat tire. Again, quiet. I like to do, if you can hear me clap once, if you can hear me clap twice, clap. If you can hear me say, I'm ready to learn, Miss Shannon, or I'm listening, Miss Shannon, or what are we doing next, Miss Shannon? It's a little silly, it's a little fun, but it still is getting their attention. A few helpful notes. Always feel free to lower your voice. So this is a really important part of the story. We want to make sure we're focusing. And when we lower our voice, that can often lower the energy in the room a little bit and help them focus on you. Walk around the room, engage different spaces. When you're walking around, you can call on kids. You can say, hey, tell me the answer to this. Hey, where did you hear that? Hey, tell me what you learned. Anything. Engage the whole space. And always feel free to have kids respond a little bit silly, like the repeat after me like a bird, or I'm listening, Miss Shannon. We're having fun. We're being a little bit silly. But again, we also want to make sure that our fun and our silly is contained, is quiet-ish, and is a positive space for everyone. And so yelling is just not an option that we want to pursue a lot, whether in discipline and all of that. All right. Aides. You are a key part of our morning. You might not be the one teaching the lesson, but your active participation can make the lesson like a million times better. So I often try and pair aides and teaching partners together so that you're building rapport, you're getting to know each other, and hopefully able to work together well. Connect with your teacher, introduce yourself, ask if there's anything that you can do. You are always welcome to email them. If you want to chat with your teacher ahead of time, please feel free and reach out. I can provide their email and ask how you can help them accomplish the morning. If you're with our preschoolers during the open play time, they arrive, they play. That's a great moment for you as an aide to say, "Hey, I'm Shannon. Is there anything you want me to like make sure I'm doing today? Are there any crafts, things like that?" Offering to take attendance is a huge help to a teacher. So as kids are coming into the classroom, write it down. So then the teacher can get things going and get the morning started, and we're not chewing up time having to wait for that. If you don't know the names of kids, that's one of the huge benefits of name tags. So go around, write it down, no big deal. Another easy thing is passing out snacks, passing out supplies. Again, making things happen quickly so those pass out moments aren't taking forever, but also the teacher could also be explaining a craft while you're passing out supplies. Another huge way you can help is jumping in on behavioral needs, helping with bathroom breaks, managing interruptions. I've been asking kids, if I'm teaching and you need a drink, can you ask one of the other adults in the room so I'm not being interrupted all morning long? And that's been a huge help. But that means the aides in the room need to be ready to respond. And again, if you are feeling out of your depth, that's okay. Connect with your teacher, your service captain, anything like that. But the aides being another active participant in the morning is a huge help. While it's table time where we're coloring, the teacher isn't actively teaching something, that's a great moment for you as an aide to connect with the kids. Where do you guys go to school? What grade are you in? Oh, this is what I do for work. Anything. Get to know them. Ask silly questions. Would you rather have a monkey or a dolphin as a pet? Anything. We all know how wonderful it is when someone at church expresses interest in us and is befriending us, and we want kids to feel that way when they're with us too. So aides, you are super important. You might not be the one teaching the lesson, but you are a key aspect and a key player in making sure our morning flows together in a way that just is fun and helps make sure the kids learn about God when they're with us.